It's a life changer. It's even deadly. Multiple NFL players have died from it. Multiple concussions, numerous big hits to the head, and head injuries. I feel it's important for the new rules in NFL to be established with effective and understanding to prevent head injuries, which result in concussions to lots of NFL players. The importance of making sure the NFL pursue and insist on all players following the rules and regulations regarding head-to-head hits, and that they follow instructions regarding to learn how to hit proper or hit a defensive receiver right. The NFL needs to apply more pressure on owners, GMs, managers, and the coaching staff of the team to protect their players to reduce their head injury probability. The league needs to recognize that lots of NFL players have been diagnosed with lots of concussions from past years, including this year too. There has been many concussions this season and many more last season. An NFL insider, Jason Bresloff, calculated there were 228 plus players last year who was diagnosed with head trauma and head injury. And he said 60% of those players with concussions, their concussions are causing long-term effect right now as we speak. And I would like to talk about one particular player named Adrian Robinson, who was only 25 years old when he killed himself due to multiple hits to the head and multiple concussions. So when you get a concussion is when you take a big hit to the head, not particularly in football, but in anything, you take a hard hit to the head, and it creates a thing called a jolt in your head that prevents your brain from working normally. So imagine you have multiple concussions, you will have multiple joints in your head that is not making your brain work normally, and that's a big deal, and that will change a person's life. Your attitude, your emotions, you'll get more angry and more violent as his time went on. And he ended up killing himself at the age of 25. And with that being said, is that I feel that players and coaching staff need to realize that when a player gets a concussion or any type of head injury, that they should be more precautious to put them back on the field the same day or even the next week. And I feel like dealing with concussions, it is important that the team knows what type of concussion each player has, because there's only 3 types of concussion. You got grade 1, grade 2, and grade 3. And if a player suffers any of those grades, I feel like they should be banned from coming back that same day, next week. I feel like there should be a time limit on when they should come back from a huge concussion. I would like to talk about another player that I would like, one of my favorite players, Ryan Sproles. He was a Texas A&M wide receiver. He was going into the draft his senior year, one of the best receivers in the league. He was going to be a first-round pick, but he didn't because he had multiple concussions coming in from college. So when he finally got drafted to the Arizona Cardinals, he had his first practice, and his first hit, he went down hard. And that one hit ended his whole career. The doctor said that he couldn't play no more because you have had too many concussions. And he couldn't even play an NFL game yet. He couldn't even step on the field. And so that was very devastating. That a kid that's 21 couldn't even fulfill his dream. And I feel like there's ways to stop stuff like that. It's a couple solutions I came up with. I feel like players who have been concussed or have got a concussion should have a minimum wait of 2.5 weeks to return to physical contact. And I also feel that they should raise the penalty on targeting at a defensive receiver to miss 2 games and a couple of $100,000 to pay for the damages. And in conclusion, I feel like the NFL is not taking this problem as serious as I am. I feel like they should recognize that if a player has a concussion, that's a long-term effect on their life, and it will alter their health for the rest of their life. Thank you.
Okay, so Sydney, what did you think?
If you had a preview, it probably would have gone a lot smoother, but you had good examples. I'm not really a huge fan of the fall, but I do like it, and I do agree the whole concussion thing does end a lot of the players' games too soon. So I agree that the NFL would fix that. If you got rid of the podium, I think you would have made more eye contact. But you did try your best with eye contact, which was better than the last speech that you gave. So you did good overall.
Yeah, I thought you were shuffling a little bit at the beginning, trying to kind of get into speaking, but once you got started, you did a pretty good job. You set up a little bit of suspense. You've got a reveal of the topic. I think there needs to be a more interesting reveal, but when it comes, we know exactly what it is you're saying, and your point of view is relatively clear. I would agree with Sydney. I think you need a much clearer preview of what the content is going to be. You've got a long list of things that you say are problematic about this issue, and I'm expecting to hear a lot about those kinds of things in the body of the speech, but you kind of just summarize them all at the beginning, and then, like I said, it's not really a setup of the structure of the speech. You do have a couple of good examples, I think, that you use in the presentation. There was also an interesting piece of data about the number of injuries that are going on right now, so I think you do an okay job providing some information. You should give us the sources, Gesundheit, on the two examples, but you did give us the source citation for the information about the number of players who are currently or who's had some kind of head injury in the last season. So I thought that was a good way to go. You mentioned the 3 types of concussions, but you didn't tell us what the difference between them was and whether or not they would require different kinds of treatments or periods of time of inactivity. I also needed to see some information that suggested that the inactivity or the rest period, that it matters. I mean, you've suggested in a couple places that they definitely not come back for at least 2 games. And I'm going, okay, well, that sounds good, but what reason do we have to believe that that's the thing that will make the difference? There's criticism of the NFL, but I thought the NFL had a whole bunch of these policies in place. If they're not following their own policies, or if the policies have loopholes in them, I think you need to develop those a little bit more. So the recommendations need a little bit more proof behind them, and the criticism of the existing policies are a little generic, without necessarily looking at the specific things that are going on for example, in the current season. On presentation issues, I do think that the reading is a little more than you want at this point. You've got that lectern with the notes on it that becomes an inhibitor to you to kind of connecting with the audience, but you're not terrible. You're just not doing as good a job as you could do, and I know that you're capable of doing a better job as a consequence. All right, thank you.